Ladies and gentlemen, this is breaking news. In this video, I'm going to tell you what Republican Senator Sen Johnson from Wisconsin just told CNBC on what he thinks should be included in an additional round of stimulus. Just ensure you watch this video until the end so I can give you a couple of data points that you could include in your correspondence to legislators and public officials to let them know why it makes financial and economic sense to send out additional rounds of stimulus to ensure that we have a smooth economic recovery. And I'm going to give you the phone number that you can use to contact legislators in Congress. First off, anchor Joe Kernan opened up the segment talking about how Senator Johnson wanted to only give out money to businesses who can show a need for it. Just to give you an example, here in New York State, the state is offering loans and grants, and through these relief programs, you have to show that you suffered a revenue loss during the months that we went through the pandemic, and then you have to show your revenue from last year. So basically, you would have to show what was your revenue last year, and you have to show that you suffered somewhere around a 20% revenue loss throughout the pandemic in order to prove that you actually have a need for capital. That's what Senator Johnson is talking about. That's what he has lined up. He heavily criticized the pandemic unemployment assistance. That's the $600 weekly payments that the federal government is funding for people on unemployment insurance. He says that this additional $600 bonus disincentivizes people to get back to work, whereas he wants to work on programs that encourages businesses to open up and encourages people to get back to work. That said, Joe Kernan pressed him and he asked him, listen, would you vote on an additional round of stimulus? First off, Senator Johnson pointed out that out of the $2.9 trillion in the entire relief package, there's still $1.4 trillion left to spend. So he said that he would initially want to work on repurposing, redirecting that money. That's interesting because yesterday, during the hearing with the Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship, Senator Kennedy, Republican Senator Kennedy, revealed to Treasury Secretary Mnuchin that he was working on a bill to ensure that the government repurposed and redirected the $140 billion that was left over in the Paycheck Protection Program. So it appears that's what Republican senators have on their mind. Perhaps the whole Senate, perhaps Congress in its entirety. How are we going to spend the money that's already left over? Which is all right, because if they can use that money for additional rounds of stimulus checks, that would work perfectly for anybody, as long as they get them out without it. And perhaps they could even do it faster because they don't have to go ahead and work on a completely new bill. They can just work on, all right, how we're going to take the existing money that we have and how we're going to use it. And they know that additional rounds of stimulus checks, they're there and there's a need for it. As I have mentioned several times on previous videos, CNBC jointly released a study with Change Research that found that 74% of swing state or battleground state voters want recurring direct payments. They don't even want to settle for just another round of direct payments. They want recurring direct payments. What's interesting is that one of the states that CNBC and Change Research polled was Wisconsin. Now, in 2016, Senator Johnson told The Hill that he would retire after serving this term. So he doesn't care. His net worth is what, $10.4 million? So he's like, you know what? I'm not running for re-election. I might as well say no and stick to my principles, is what I think is on his head. Joe Kernan asked him, would you vote on additional round of stimulus right now? He said no. He said no, considering that there's money already left over, according to him, and he would rather use that money in order to provide relief. And just to give you a couple of data points you could use in your correspondence to legislators to ensure that you give them a reason that's substantiated by data, by facts, that it makes economic sense to send out additional rounds of stimulus. The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, reported that people are more likely to spend money on products and services if they are receiving regular wages. Okay? Now, consumer spending dropped by 13.6% in April. If you can get people to spend money on products and services through recurring payments, because you got to think about it. It makes common sense. If the federal government or anybody just gives you one check, all right, you're like, listen, I'm only going to get one check, so I better make the best use of this check. There was a report that I believe Nielsen released that found that grocery prices are skyrocketing. And you see it. Some steaks that I used to buy like $5 a pound, you have to pay like $11 and $12 a pound for it right now. So people see these skyrocket. They have like a little bottle of alcohol for like $4, whereas you used to get like a bigger size one for $1 before this entire pandemic and all of this mess. So all of these essential items, prices are skyrocketing. So people see that and they're more likely to hoard their money. Like, listen, I better make best use of this. I don't want to starve. So I'm not going to go out to Marshall's and go ahead and spend on that wall decoration. I prefer to spend this on meat, fruits, vegetables, cereal, the things that I need to survive because I have to eat. Human body can only go so long without eating, right? So they see these big numbers. They had like hand sanitizer for like $18 the other day in the local supermarket. And people see this and they're like, you know what? I'm not even thinking about buying shoes or clothing or going on vacation or doing any of that. All of these services that the government wants to see flourish. Travel, vacationing, restaurants. They were talking about deductions for restaurants. So this could be something. This is fuel that you can use in order to substantiate your argument, to back your request, your demand for additional stimulus money. That is that to which you are completely entitled because it's your money. It's your tax money. That's why they call it a rebate. It's money they're giving you back. This is the fuel that you need because, again, just going back to my argument, if you see that they're skyrocketing prices at the grocery store or for essential items, you're less likely to even explore what they're selling at Victoria's Secret or Marshall's or TJ Maxx or Best Buy. You don't need those things right away. So these companies don't even have the opportunity to say, listen, these are new specials because you're just like focused on the grocery, the essential items. This stuff is off the hook and I only got one check to pay for it. So I better just focus on this. So they're actually stripping the opportunity from big businesses to generate more revenue, to say, listen, you could buy this TV for 6 months interest free. They're stripping that opportunity. People aren't even going to explore that. They're like, listen, I need the milk and eggs right now, man. Basically, bottom line. So these are the data points that you can go ahead and show these people. Remember, GDP contracted, I believe, by 4%. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said yesterday that the Federal Reserve's forecast for GDP is a contraction of 6%. I believe consumption, personal consumption, consumer spending makes up around 68 to 70% of GDP. And according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, personal consumption dropped by 13.6% in the month of April. So if they want to save this economy, they better get recurring payments. They better get some form of stimulus to people. And right now, it's a challenge. The CBO, when they made that report that I talked about, when people are receiving regular wages, they're more likely to spend on products. It was a time where it was easier to get people back to work. They passed infrastructure bills and people were willing to go back to work. Now, public officials, the federal government, has a serious challenge because people are scared of going back to work because they may contract the virus or something else may happen to them. There's looting going around. So it could potentially impair their safety. That's just giving them another reason not to go back to work. So that's a hurdle that the federal government has to jump over. They have other plans where they want to pay a bonus to people who return back to work, about $450 or so, and they want to extend unemployment insurance by $250 to $300. These are just plans that are in the works. Nonetheless, you've got to get people money on a regular basis so they can spend money. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot harder for them to say, listen, I'm down to my last dollar and I'm going to spend it on things? No, it's not going to happen. Consumption is not going to go up. The economy will not expand. Public officials, elected officials, if you're hearing me, people will not put you back in office. Okay? So get ready to go back home or go ahead and seek some other job offers. Go ahead and update your resume on LinkedIn. But ensure that you do everything in your power to get these people recurring direct payments, because that's what they want. In swing states and battleground states, those states that are up for grabs for any presidential candidate, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when you send your correspondence out to these officials. As promised, here's the phone number to Capitol Hill. This is their switchboard. 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. So let me know what you think. Write your comments and your feelings in the comment section below. Watch this video right here for additional stimulus coverage. Click the like button if you like the video. Click subscribe to stay on top of my findings. I will do my best to ensure I report what others will not. Talk soon.